maybe, but it just looks like another horror movie. Perhaps? But it's just gonna be The Conjuring. Holy shit. I have to talk about this! And with that said, massive spoilers await. This is your one and only warning. This is 2021's Malignant. We start with a giant nod to 1999's House on Haunted Hill, and a bunch of random indicators that we're in the office of an auspicious surgeon who's called away from her record keeping by an ominous warning.
Dr. Weaver, he got out again.
A doctor is casually tossed into the hallway, which leads to a security guard pulling out a tranq gun, which I'm pretty sure is normal procedure. Sparks go off and non-horror specific red lights highlight a shit ton of dead people. The being who caused all this wears panda socks, which is known as a sure sign of nefarious intent. Dr. Weaver tries some tough love.
You've been a bad boy, Gabriel.
But Gabriel ain't having none of it. The creature behind the plastic broadcasts his thoughts. And then we get a definitive line with appropriate music.
It's time. We cut out the cancer.
After credits full of blinking you'll miss some details, we're introduced to a car, house, lady, and nursery that are all color coordinated, along with a douchebag husband who sits on the bed with his shoes on. He finds it necessary to add a crack to the wall using his pregnant wife's head. Later, a spooky fog rolls in and a 90s era blender revs up and wakes up hubby. While distracted, he's dispatched by a shadowy entity in suitable fashion. Back in the bedroom, we get the first case of, Maddie, you might want to get that looked at. And the monster makes quite an entrance from behind her hubby's semi-decapitated corpse. She's chased and hits her head again, waking up several hours later at the hospital, where her sister delivers some bad news and pats her on the head. A lot. And as is the classic trope, we get a morgue shot featuring a sucker and two detectives talking motive over a semi-decapitated asshole. Elsewhere, Maddie runs around the house hearing noises in one of my favorite shots of the movie. She drops a line that, in retrospect, really sums things up.
It's all in my head.
The next day, Maddie stares at either her shadow or the giant dent in the wall when she's startled by her terrace-climbing sister, who is in turn startled with a stunning revelation.
Sydney, I'm adopted.
Cut to the Seattle Underground, where a lady is captured and tied to a wall with a greeting that doesn't feel very friendly.
I can't tell you how long I've waited for this.
After another instance of, Maddie, you should really get that looked at, we get an encounter that seems to happen every time I do my laundry. The face appears in the door, and then the whole room melts. I gotta tell ya, it gets really annoying. Anyway, the black duster-wearing intruder finds his weapon of choice and shish kebabs Dr. Weaver. We find ourselves back at the intruder hideout, and I wonder how he stays dry with so many holes in the roof. Especially in a rainy place like Seattle. Fine, don't answer for your shoddy hideout choice, Gabriel. See if I care. Victim number 2 has a shit ton of button-up shirts and cleans up water in a very professional way, but that doesn't stop him from being shish kebab while Maddie watches. It leaves her with a face I'd associate with being up close and personal with really bad BO. After this, we learn Gabriel doesn't have the face of an average killer or an average non-killer. Later, Detective Moss drops my new favorite insult.
Wikipedia Brown here just solved the case.
And we enter the tape exposition part of the story, followed by the flash drive exposition part of the story. Luckily, all of this does lead to another victim, which Maddie watches undress. It does make me wonder if she should start throwing dollar bills at him. Anyway, Detective Shaw arrives just to see the victim dead and Gabriel fleeing. He shows off stormtrooper level aim, which is put to shame by Gabriel's parkour skills. The chase leads him to the Seattle Underground, which is open for guided tours. Reserve your spot today. Old-timey carriages not included. We learn that Gabriel has been talking to Maddie since they were kids, and can influence what she sees. As a child, he attempted to make her kill her adopted mother and unborn sister, leading her to this important conclusion.
It's as if he knew that with you here, I wouldn't need him anymore. And he was right.
So all the killing and death is literally just him being a spoiled child looking for attention? This realization is interrupted by someone dropping in on them, which leads to the revelation that Maddie's home is termite infested, and more importantly, home to Gabriel. All this is followed up with the proper response. Maddie is arrested and Detective Moss gloats.
I told you. From day one.
Sydney takes off to find the truth, and apparently hasn't been living enough on the edge. I really hope the parking brake is on. We then enter tape exposition of the story part 2, where it's revealed that the lady Gabriel held as prisoner is their biological mother. The tape shows us Maddie and Gabriel as kids, and holy fuck! Dr. Weaver and company surgically remove most of Gabriel, and just shove the rest back in Maddie's head, cause honestly, what could possibly go wrong there? Back with modern day Maddie, we get the typical folks you'd find in a holding cell. A toilet sitter, a hardcore punk rocker, and a disco queen. They set her off, and Gabriel comes out to play. To quote an earlier point, it really is all in her head. Her arms do some rearranging, she does a Frankenstein-type stomp, and so begins the most gory and highly entertaining part of this movie, which leads to basically everyone at the police station being dead. But with the continued stormtrooper level aim, I can kinda see why. Gabriel finishes off this epic beatdown by throwing a chair to stop Detectives Shaw and Moss. And it's just the icing on the gory cake. The random evidence lady pops up unharmed, and fun fact, she's one of the writers. Gabriel/Maddie goes to finish off their mom, but luckily she distracts them while Detective Shaw finally hits his target. I guess it had to happen sometime. Gabriel once again proves to be a spoiled brat to Sydney.
What did you do to my sister?
She's not your sister!
Leading to Maddie taking back control and locking Gabriel away. For now. Leaving him with this epic line.
But next time, I'll be ready for you.
So Malignant is a 2021 film directed by James Wan. It was originally scheduled to be released mid-2020, but was pushed back due to COVID. It was kept under heavy wraps, being called a slice of horror one hasn't explored, until the teaser trailer dropped in July of this year. Contrary to popular belief, it was not based on his graphic novel Malignant Man, and was an original thriller. Now, I personally didn't know anything about this one until the preview before Candyman, and I'm so glad it didn't spill the secrets of what it was. I caught it earlier this week, and before it was over, I knew I wanted to review it. If you know anything about my channel, you know I don't review a lot of brand new movies. In fact, to this point, the only one I've reviewed is Willy's Wonderland. Before I go further, let me say that a lot of the criticisms of Malignant are founded. There are some great questions posed about the why of stuff. Like, how is Gabriel essentially an X-Men who's able to adapt to each situation? Why doesn't Maddie have any side effects of the injuries Gabriel sustains? Why does Sydney park right on the edge of a perilous cliff? How is this the attic to Maddie's house, especially with these giant holes? And where did Gabriel get that great coat? I mean, for not having a face, dude has such style. During the movie, I asked all these questions myself, but in the immortal words of MST3K,
Think to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax.
grand scheme, I didn't mind. It's a fucking mess of a movie, but I had such a great time. Despite the plot holes and weird dialogue, it has some amazing bits that I hope people won't overlook. The melting effect between Maddie and Gabriel's surroundings was a cool way to convey the dissolving barrier between their dual consciousness. And the top-down view of Maddie searching the house drops a possible clue that Gabriel is looking down on her from the attic. By the way, massive props to Maddie's stunt person. I mean, damn, the ability to do all that backwards, aided by whatever Hollywood magic was used, is impressive. Like any movie with a twist, the second viewing shows off all the dropped hints of what's coming, like the trophy in the back of Dr. Weaver's opening sequence. This line from Maddie,
It's all in my hands.
or the many times we see Gabriel do things backwards, like grabbing this trophy with a reversed hand. Seeing things on repeat viewings isn't specific to Malignant by any stretch, but I had such a fun time seeing how many hints were dropped. I've seen a lot of discussion on whether this was supposed to be a completely campy movie or not, and I choose to believe that it is, given what I've seen. The epic nature of the medical facility alone gives you the idea that you're in for something beyond the norm. The fact that it had the same feel as the one from House on Haunted Hill is very telling. And frankly, I was okay with the moments where you could anticipate a jump scare coming and nothing happening, like Sydney parking too close to the edge of the cliff or the camera shot from under Dr. Field's bed. It felt like it really subverted expectations, and I kinda really love that. Even the fact that Malignant feels like a spiritual successor to Basket Case lends credence to the point that it's supposed to be campy. From the revenge plot to take out the 3 doctors that separated the siblings, to the parasitic twin taking full control of the other's mind. The two share a lot of genes. I will say that Belial is a little better looking than Gabriel. You also don't have to look hard to see nods to Evil Dead, The Dark Half, and House on Haunted Hill. In a world of asylum movies that do the same basic thing over and over, it's good to know that some still do explosive, cheesy, campy goodness without having to shove it in your face that they're trying to be cheesy. Movies like Mandy and Malignant do batshit crazy stuff so damn well, and they're a welcome, if rare, change. I can imagine most folks expected something that runs the usual horror gambit from James Wan, and I'm sure the weird tone of this could be jarring at best and a downright waste of time at worst. But I will continue to gush about this fucking awesome ride. I caught Chris Stuckman's review of Malignant after watching this, and he mentions how we need more campy awesomeness in the world of film, and I wholeheartedly agree. Whatever your thoughts on this movie, it came out of left field, and I hope it does well enough to show that we deserve better than mediocre in this genre. It's not perfect, and certainly not something everyone will go for. But for me, damn, one of my favorites of the year. So what do you think? Suggestions for movies, trivial questions, comments, ratings, and the ability to walk backwards as well as Gabriel would be appreciated. Thank you so very much for watching.